Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are joined by Bane. But today we are going to be going through all of the books that I read in each month and deciding which one is my favorite. I have done this video I think once before, and I really enjoyed it. I did it for like my regular books and then romance books. I'm just gonna combine the two. Alright, so first up, the first book that I read in the year was Her Night with the Duke. Then It Happened One Summer, Cruel Prince, Start a Fire, They Never Learn, Wicked Night, Touch of a Villain, The Rebel, The Bully, and then I read some graphic novels. We have The Last Final Girl, we have Come to Daddy, we have Make Me Crazy, more graphic novels. We then have Wolf Gone Wild, which was, I think, my first 5-star of the year. Well, no, The Bully was my first 5-star. Then we have Shameless King, Lady of Grave Manor, Scoundrel of My Heart, Dark Notes, which was another 5-star, Comfort Me with Apples, which is another 5-star. We have A Dowry of Blood, The Spy, Second Comes War, which was another 5-star. Alright, so those were my January reads. I think this is a pretty easy decision to make. I do have a couple of 5-stars up here. So we have The Bully, Wolf Gone Wild, Dark Notes, and Comfort Me with Apples. I would say, oh, and Second Comes War, but that's more of like I really loved this series 5-star than like this actually being a like super good book. So I would say my two favorites of the month would definitely be The Bully and Comfort Me with Apples. I really like Dark Notes, and objectively I think that that is a better romance than The Bully, but The Bully is something that I will reread, that I really enjoyed. It kind of ticked all of my boxes. The Dark Notes definitely was kind of the same way. It has sort of the same premise as far as like the sexual relationship and the growth within the relationship itself. But The Bully for me had like literally everything that I could want. And Comfort Me with Apples is like my favorite horror book of all time. So it's gonna be hard to beat that one. But yeah, so I think The Bully is definitely The Bully and Comfort Me with Apples are definitely my two favorites from this month. Comfort Me with Apples is a horror book about a woman who has like the perfect marriage. She lives in a gated community and everything seems perfect until it doesn't. It's really, really good. Like, you have literally no idea what's going on. And one of my favorite things in horror is when characters don't, when everything seems really odd to you, but the characters are acting like everything is normal. That's one of my favorite things. And that's a huge part of this book. And then The Bully is the third book in the Kingmaker series, which is like a mafia romance series. The other books in this series I didn't totally love, but I think Sophie Lark just did a perfect job with this. This is the villain redemption arc, and the hero has sort of been the villain the first couple of books, and then he has his love interest, and the relationship initially starts through blackmail, and he forces her to enter into like this dom-sub relationship. It starts off with him just like making her do things, and then they enter into an actual relationship. Degradation, I can't remember if this also has praise in it or not, but like she wears a collar, and their relationship growth is so beautiful. I'm not going to reveal the heroine because it's kind of a spoiler, but her growth individually is fantastic. She starts off this meek and mild girl who doesn't really feel like she belongs in this world, and she slowly grows her place, and then Dean really redeems himself, but like stays true to who he is. So I thought it was a fantastic book. It's a book that I would easily reread outside of the series. So fantastic, sexy, everything that I'm looking for in a romance like this. All right, so let's then go into February. So games we play, 1 star. We don't support Dana Isley on this channel. What, baby boy? We have Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert, Master of Salt and Bones by Carrie Lake, The Redemption by Nikki Sloan, Buy Me Sir by Jade West, Third Comes Vengeance, which is the first 5 star of this month. I wouldn't necessarily consider, again, this an actual 5 star. We have Medicine Man by Saffron A. Kent, Hooked by Emily McIntyre, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, Come Closer by Sarah Gran, Lap of Luxury by Brianna Hale, Scandalous Desires by Elizabeth Hoyt, Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn, Her Soul for Revenge, which was the second 5 star of the month and genuinely a 5 star. And then we get into Kennedy Ryan. So we have Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton, Refrain, Down to My Soul, and My Soul to Keep by Kennedy Ryan, Unhinged by Onley James, My American Duchess, and then we have the entire Grip trilogy. I'm just going to tell you right now, Still and Grip, they're like equal to me. I think Still is, in my opinion, like beats Grip out a little bit, but they're going to be my favorite of the month, probably of the year, to be honest. This is a trilogy. The novella flow starts off with the couple meeting, and they have a moment of connection, and then it results in them getting into a fight. And then in Grip, it is sort of their back and forth friendship to relationship. She is his music manager, he is a rapper, and then Still is them after they've been married and are going through things that they have to sort of have to work through together. I cried for like 85% of Still. Like, I was inconsolable. It is a fantastic series. Do you mind? And Kennedy Ryan is does such a good job of like these soulmate, deep, emotional connections that are just unmatched. Like, I don't know a better writer. I don't know a better writer that can write like soul level connections. And this series hits every level of a relationship. Difference in privilege in regards to class, race, gender. It has to do with acceptance and all, like, everything. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So definitely a favorite of the month and year. So then we have Dirty Letters by Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward, Wicked in Your Arms by Sophie Jordan, My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, A Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah McLean, Seventh Circle by Tate James, Nothing But Blackened Teeth, another favorite horror of all time. We have The Wendigo, don't read that. Oh, I'm getting into March. Okay, go back. The Rogue by Any Other Name is the last book that I read in February. I wouldn't say that any of the other books that I read this month were like really stand out in the way that Still was, except Her Soul for Revenge. This is a horror romance. It's the second book in a series, but you can kind of read them independently of each other. This follows a woman who was the victim of an attempted sacrifice by a cult in this town, and she's come back, I think, 15 years later to get revenge. She makes a deal with a demon to help her. And this series in general is fantastic. I love Harlow the Rose writing. I've only read this series. I need to read The Loser and The Dare, but this is basically... The relationship itself, I think, is 100% of the reason that I gave this 5 stars. This is not only a different sort of relationship than I think is usual for dark romance, but it's a different character, like, trope. The hero is very fun and bubbly, and the heroine is the broody one, which we don't often see. Like, we sometimes have the grumpy sunshine where it's the opposite of the typical, but this is like to the max. Like, he wants to party and have fun and have sex and do drugs, and he's just like looking for a good time, and she's, you know, wants to go out there and kill demons and very broody and all of that. But the way that the relationship works is beautiful, and their sexy times are sexy. All right, so then let's go into March. All right, so we have Seventh Circle, Nothing But Black and Teeth, The Wendigo, Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan, which was fantastic, The Duchess Hunt, After the People Lights Have Gone Out, Breaking Her In, Devram's Court, The Lady Gets Lucky, Blackmailing His Bride, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which is a manga, The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie, Hood Feminism, which is a nonfiction. I don't rate nonfiction. The Fear, Acts of Desperation, Sea of Ruin. Then we have some manga, A Taste of Her Own Medicine, The Devil, Bad Boy Blues, House of Sky and Breath. Can you not? It Ends With Us, The Girl Next Door, The Death of Jane Lawrence, The House at the Bottom of the Lake, The Ballad of Black Tom, Promises and Pomegranates, and Near the Bone. So 100% Sea of Ruin is a favorite. It's probably going to be on my top 10 of the year. This is a dark historical romance about two pirates and a pirate hunter. It ends in a polyamorous relationship. It is very, very dark. It has a lot of triggers. Pam Godwin is just exceptional at not only writing character relationships, character chemistry, an immersive world. She is so good at writing characters that are working through traumas together and separate. She's just a phenomenal writer, and I don't know of another romance author that I would put on her level. Like, everything that I've read by her is good. Even books that I don't generally enjoy the plot or the idea is very well done. Like, the characters are always just so well suited for each other, and the plot always pulls in so beautifully. So definitely a favorite. And I don't think, I mean, we have Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan, and we have Nothing But Black and Teeth, but I wouldn't consider them like, Nothing But Black and Teeth is like one of my favorite horror books, and Long Shot's very good, but I already gave a Kennedy Ryan my favorite of the month. But Nothing But Black and Teeth, I guess, would be a second. This is a horror book set in Japan, and a group of friends are going on a destination wedding to a haunted house in Japan, and it's haunted by a woman who claims to eat young people, and it's fantastic. Very, very, like, very The Ring-esque, those sort of vibes. Very descriptive, very beautiful. All right, into April, we have Smash and Grab, Savage, Southern Storms, Ruthless Crown, Angel's Blood, Control Freak, Her Night with the Duke, The Heiress Gets a Duke, Love is a Rogue, The Duke Who Didn't, The Heiress Hunt, How to Love a Duke in 10 Days, Dark Mafia Prince, Sicko, Deviant King, Crow, As Good as Dead, The Empire of Gold, Finley Donovan is Killing It, The Setup, Call Me Maybe, Walk in the Park, Wicked and the Wallflower, My Darling Duke, Until You, yeah, so ends at Wicked and the Wallflower. So 100% my favorite of the month is How to Love a Duke in 10 Days. Another story by Kerrigan Byrne. I think she's very much like Pam Godwin-esque. Takes very dark themes. This is historical romance. Takes very dark themes of trauma and things like that, and has her characters working together and separate to work it out. It's always beautiful. This one in particular is about a woman who was assaulted when she was in boarding school, and her friends helped her. She ends up killing him, and her friends help her cover up the murder. And then about 10 years later, she gets a letter from one of her friends saying, hey, I found the guy that killed my family. I need your help. So she goes to where her friend is and finds out that the guy is actually the Duke, the hero. And it goes from there. It's beautiful. I think the conflict of this the heroine having to work through her sexual trauma in addition to the hero's response, and all of that was just very realistic and beautiful, and the way they worked through it was great. My computer's about to die, or my camera is about to shut off because I've been talking so long. That seems to be a theme with the videos that like this. All right, so we get into May, first being My Darling Duke, Until You Bully the Unseen. We have Rival, Falling Away, Falls Boys, Jane Doe, Ruthless Creatures, Throttled, Forget Me Not, Little Dancer, What He Doesn't Know. We have some manga. Witching Moon, we have Cult, The Never King, A Rune of Roses, Triss 6 Venom, Unbound, Against Type, Something to Talk About, Shortcake Cake, Volume 1 and 2, Splatterfest, Meet Cute Club, Dig, Ensnared, and that was it. I don't think I had a single 5-star this month except The Never King, which again is not really like an all-time favorite. Like, I just gave it 5 stars because I super enjoyed it. I guess we can talk about that. I guess it would be a favorite, just not like a favorite of all time. This is a pretty short story about a girl who, she is Wendy's descendant, and she gets kidnapped and taken to Neverland because Peter Pan has lost his shadow and he's trying to get it back. And Wendy actually took it like decades ago, and so she comes back. It's like super short, super steamy. All the guys are like dark and broody, morally gray, all of that. I'm excited to continue the series, but it's not like a you know, all-time favorite. All right, so into June, we have The Maidens, Not a Happy Family, Assassin's Apprentice, The Last Thing He Told Me, The Atlas Six, Firekeeper's Daughter, Book of Night, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Princess Brat, Love Zipper, Peaches and Honey, The Salem's Ropes, The Companion, Leather and Lace, Don't Tell Me No, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, The Charm Offensive, The Henchman of Zenda, Crown of Midnight, Drag Me Up, Parker, Mechanics of Love, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, Count Your Lucky Stars, and Heir of Fire. So 100% the best of the month was The Atlas Six. This is a fantasy series that I'm sure you're well versed in. It is a like dark academia fantasy about 6 characters who are trying to get into this this like organization basically, and they have to prove themselves as a group and then individually. Very well plotted, very well done, very atmospheric, very intentional. I loved the characters, just super well done. And then The Companion would also be a favorite. This is like what I would consider a cozy romance about 3 trans characters, like just finding a place. One of them is attempting to become a writer, but in the interim, she goes to live with the hero. It's 2 women and the hero. And she starts a polyamorous relationship with him and his neighbor. And it's beautiful and cozy and comfy and just this, like, about finding a safe place and accepting yourself and the people around you. It's fantastic. All right, so we get into July. We start off with A Queen of Shadows. We have Jim Bunny, Dom Fitness, The Marvelers, Witchlings, Empire of Storms, The Culmination of Everything, Tower of Dawn, Set, The Truth About Heartbreak, Filthy Little Pretties, Kingdom of Ash, Dial A for Aunties, the Sanitarium, Bad Boys Break Hearts, A Curious Beginning, Hook, Line, and Sinker, Shadow and Bone. Those are all August. I really need to pay attention. So I did not have a single 5-star again this month. And I don't really feel like any of them are notable. Like, if I had to pick, I would say probably The Culmination of Everything. But that's just like a good romance. It's not like standout. So we'll go on to August. All right, we have Shadow and Bone, we have Hook, Line, and Sinker. We have Shadow and Bone, Sweet Captivity, Siege and Storm, Seatmate, Rune and Rising, Children of the Hill, Nettle and Bone, Sundial, Teach Me, Vow of Obedience, The Resting Place, Ivy, The Love Hypothesis, People We Meet on Vacation, Devil House, Don't Hex and Drive, The Highwaymen, Moon Touched, Flock, Addicted to You, Private Eye, Only When It's Us, Waking Olivia, Thief of Shadows, Brazen and the Beast, and those are my reads for the month. Lots of horror, lots of romance. 100% the standout for me is The Highwaymen, another historical romance in the same vein as the other Kerrigan Byrne, addressing traumatic events. Basically, they start off when they are kids. They meet each other in an orphanage that they live in together. The heroine gets assaulted and they try to run away. The hero ends up killing one of the people trying to detain them. He goes to prison. About 15 years later, she meets, she's working in the Scotland Yard, and they capture a known criminal who she ends up making a deal with. They will have a marriage of convenience, and they will help each other get revenge for the people that killed her childhood friend. Beautiful. Fantastic. Outstanding. Can't say anything else. Everything that I said about Kerrigan Byrne previously applies. It's truly outstanding and beautiful, but I cannot give her another favorite because I already gave her a favorite. So that favorite of the month would go to Brazen and the Beast. This is by Sarah McLean. It's the second book in the Bare Knuckle Bastard series. This is about the, like, I want to say more caregiving hero. He's the quiet one. Nobody really knows much about him, and he holds a lot of guilt for the things that happened with his family. So the underlying plot of this is all of the heroes and one of the heroines of the series were basically forced to beat each other repeatedly and take place in these trials to become the Duke to this man who never had an heir. He had a girl and he wanted a boy, so he pretended that the girl was a guy and then kidnapped children, or I can't remember if he kidnapped or actually sired them, and then he made them all compete, and whoever whoever won got the dukedom. And he is one of the brothers that feels a lot of guilt about not being able to take care of his siblings. And the heroine is a high society lady, and she's fantastic. And it's sort of along the same lines of like the Kerrigan Byrnes. You'll notice that's sort of a repeating theme with my favorite romances, dealing with trauma, dealing with guilt, shame, all of those like harder emotions, and, you know, working it out and then building a beautiful relationship. Alright, so then into September, The Mistwalker, Something Fabulous, Behind the Bars, Forever Your Earl, The Demon King, Disgrace, Pretty Cruel Boys, Savage Game, Dirty Kingdom, The Protege, Love and Other Disasters, Sidetracked, Dead Silence, The Point of It All, The Devil's Advocate, Wild Sweet Love, On a Wicked Dawn, I'm Glad My Mom Died, Guild, Wings of a Butterfly, Womb, Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, The Song of the Marked, Dead Inside, Bulky, Once Upon a Dream, The Babysitter, The Cherry Robbers, River of Shadows, and Untainted. So I think 1 5-star is Womb, and the other is The Protege. So we'll start with The Protege. The Protege is a romance between a a theater director and a dancer. And they have a dom sub DDLG relationship. Beautiful, very exploratory. The only issue that I think I had with The Protege, and I didn't detract any stars for it, was she was his ward starting from like the age of 10, and he constantly talked about how young she was, and like it just, those 10 like in age gaps and stuff, that tends to give me the ick. But still beautiful, still a beautiful relationship. And then the other 5-star is Womb, which is a really good horror novella, and it's just like fucked up. Basically, this guy goes and stays at a motel room that has like some significance to him. He hires a sex worker, and they're just like relaying really fucked up stories to each other, and like he has an end goal in mind. It's fucked up, but it's good. So not really much to say there because it's really short, but it's really, really good. All right, into October. So we have The Hacienda, Perrin Manor, The Haunting of Bryn Wilder, The Demon Rift, The Hollows, Intercepts, Nightshade, Untouchable, Tender as the Flesh, Tears of Tess, Still Beating, Sick Fucks, Deliver, Bat Out of Hell, Treat Yourself, Goddess of Filth, Bump in the Night, Bewitching You, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, Home Invaded, Deal with the Devil, A Quarter Frost and Starlight, A Little Life, Four Aunties and a Wedding, She Who Became the Sun, The Poppy War, The Lies of Loch Lamora, The Words, Bending the Rules, Sold to the Mob Boss, Confess, A Lady for a Duke, Psycho, Carnal Urges, Love Unexpected. So I had quite a few 5-stars in this. So we're looking at Carnal Urges, The Words, The Lies of Loch Lamora, A Little Life, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and Tender as the Flesh. So I think of all of my favorites, I would have to give it A Little Life. This is an outstanding book, and if you haven't watched my single review of this and you're interested in my thoughts, I would recommend watching it. It's vlog and discussion, and towards the end I kind of give my opinion on the hate behind this book, rightful or otherwise. But to me, this is a standout book. I think regardless of her intention, I think she captured trauma and what it does to the rest of your life if not dealt with. And even if it is dealt with, she captures that very well, and it was good. Jude is a fascinating character. Fascinating. You are immediately attached to him in an emotional way, and yeah, so fantastic, really, really good, and I'll leave that video down below if you're interested. Alright, so then we'll get into November. Alright, so first up I did a bunch of rereads. So we have The Ritual, which was not a reread, it was a first time. And then I reread Chain of Gold, The Cruel Prince, Rush, Ringmaster, and I also reread ACOTAR and Crescent City. So I'm not gonna really include those, even though some of them are 5 stars. Like, I could give it to Rush, but it was already a favorite of last year. So first up we have Maybe Next Time, which was 5 stars. Tide, Sin and Discipline, Notes on an Execution, The Paris Apartment, Night Circus, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, Book Lovers, Devil of Dublin, Brutal Intentions, Pageant, After, Daughter of No Worlds, The Woman in Cabin 10, and then Reckless Girls. So I would have to give my favorite of the month to The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, closely followed by Notes on an Execution, but I think I had an emotional reaction to The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, whereas I didn't with Notes on an Execution. Notes on an Execution is just like objectively a perfect book, but The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, while it might not be like objectively perfect, I loved the hero. So this is a cozy romantic fantasy, and it follows an undertaker and a, what are they called? A ranger. And the hero, Hart, is responsible for taking down these these entities that possess people, and then those possessed people kill people. And he is responsible for killing the possessed entity, or the possessed people. And Mercy is an undertaker, so when he kills them, he takes them to Mercy. They have sort of this antagonistic relationship that they work through throughout the story, through a series of letters that they don't know they're sending each other, and then their actual interactions. But mostly we're just following them through their daily lives, and it's beautiful, it's emotional, it's very melancholy, but it's also very cozy. The fantasy elements are just enough to get you through the story and the world in a believable and understandable way without it being too overwhelming to the more like day-to-day slice of life and the romance. The romance is beautiful. Like I said, I love Heart. I think the things that he's struggling with are very very relatable, and there were a couple of times where I wanted to cry over his character. So definitely the standout of the month, and it might be in my top 10 of the year, so we'll see. But that is it for this this little best of every month video. Like I said, I haven't read anything in December yet. Like, I've read one book, so I can't really tell you what the best is going to be, but if you are really interested, you could probably just watch my wrap up. So let me know down below your thoughts on anything that I talked about in the video. What is your favorite of the year, of the one every month? Let me know. If you don't have anything to say, leave a skeleton, skull, or something like that down in the comments. If you are looking for more content from me, you can check out my Instagram or my podcast Instagram. You can also check out my podcast. It is a horror podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.